Yeah. But it's the more human side of you.
Yeah.
As opposed to the sort of monolithic anarchist activist kind of
stuff,
right?
Absolutely, yeah, because I'm just a bloke, you know. Like I say in that song, you know, so what on it, you know, I'm just a person, human being.
Yeah, one of those. Okay.
Yeah.
So we've talked about Do They Owe Us a Living?
Yes, they do.
It's arguably Crass's most renowned song.
Yeah. And I wrote that.
That's right, you did. And you talk about it in the book, which is great to find out how you came up with the idea for the lyrics. But I was also wondering about, Captain Oi did a reissue of a bunch of things, a lot of sort of Oi stuff, and the business, on one of the bubusinesses reissues.
I know, they were doing it, weren't they?
They were doing it, right? And I was thinking, this is a Crass song. This is kind of unusual. And then I was also thinking there's this animosity between, the peace punk scene and the skinhead scene back then, around that time. Which led to songs like The Greatest Working Class Ripoff, which may be more about the Sex Pistols, but the beginning is oi, 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 what a fucking ripoff.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, this is strange. So I just wanted to ask you your take. What was the relationship between the peace punk scene and the skinhead scene back then?
Well, we didn't really call it peace punk there. It was just
the anarchist scene.
Yeah, there was an uneasy truce going on. It depends. It depended where you went, and
I mean, you talk about Colin getting in a fight and just just berating this guy, trying to provoke him, in a pub.
Colin loved the ruck. Bloody hell, Christ almighty.
And you were just trying to get away from it, right?
Oh, for fuck. All I wanted was a quiet beer.
And you also talk about being, being inspired by skinheads initially, right? So
because when I was there, how old was I? Bloody hell, 10 or something. I can't remember how old was I. You read the book this morning. I can't bloody remember. 13 or something like that.
Yeah, it was around 13. Yeah, early teens.
And the way I get it was the first wave of skinheads, and up until that point, I didn't have any idea there was this thing called fashion or identity. All I used to do was just wear the clothes my mum bought for me, which were usually hand-me-downs or second-hand stuff.
Sure.
And I was sitting in a mate's back garden, and all of a sudden this bloke came walking down his garden path next door in this amazing two-tone. It was purple, blue and yellow or something like that, and with this black and white gingham check. Ben shirt, button-down shirt with these red braces, red socks, and these really highly polished brogues on his feet, and he just, with this short hair with two partings shaved in there, and he just sort of glided down the garden path like that, and I'm like, I want to look like that.
Yeah.
And then goes indoors, he puts on this amazing sound, and it was like, don't call me Scarface, dun, 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 dun. I was like, what is that? Because it don't matter, you can just dance to that, even as an old man, you can still sort of look good.
Yeah, for sure.
And of course, from that point, every kid in Dagenham, actually all over England, any working class here, every kid was trying to be a skinhead.
Yeah.
And that's what got me into it.
Yeah.
And the shame was that in the early days, skinhead wasn't about racism or being right wing or anything. It really was just a fashion. And then unfortunately there was a TV programme, it was on the news in England, and for some reason, and I've seen it since, and I remember it, and they got these three blokes, Millwall fans of course, and scumbags. Anyway, they say, so what's all this skinhead thing about? And they went, well, it's about having a fight and all that, and he went, yeah, but ain't that a bit, and he went, yeah, we'll go out packy bashing, and from that point on, right, it became a racist thing, just called that one stupid fucking media thing, right? And we all got into it as a kid. I was like, oh, black people come here and take our jobs and all this guff, but then a friend, a friendly teacher spoke to me and said, really questioned me about it, and then I had to think about that, and then I got another realisation that I was just following, I was like sheep, just following, saying, like a little robot saying things, and I was like, no, actually I'm going to think about it, so I did, and it got me out of that. And what really upset me, that when skinhead came back as the second wave, I thought, I was like, oh great, because I really like that fashion. But then when they sort of took on the right wing, fascistic element, I just got really angry, and especially when these kids, younger than me, dressed as skinheads, come to my fucking gig, telling me who was a skinhead in the first wave, when they weren't even born. Yeah, you want to smash my gig up, are you? Yeah. Sorry, I do get a bit, it's very precious to me.
But in some ways, it might have been the adversarial relationship that created a common enemy, right?
Yeah, but the thing is,
scene,
you know, I mean, the problem was that you had idiots like Gary Bushell, who was a reporter for an English music press, and he's just a fucking arsehole, that dude, because he doesn't realise that, you know, there's a responsibility that you take when you write things. And he refused to accept that, you know, there was violence kicking off at gigs, you know, between skinheads, and you know, and that Strength Through Oi album, you know, with the skinhead on the front, right? Nicky Crane, right, one of the most notorious bastards ever in London. On the front, you know, giving it all out. And it's like, fucking hell, Garrett, what the fuck do you think? Of course it's going to incite stuff, you know. And then, of course, Nicky Crane got his comeuppance. Because it turned out he was a homosexual.
That's right.
And then he fucking died. Boo-hoo, boo-hoo. So, you know, I'm really upset. But, you know, it's... It was, and it really fucking annoyed me, you know. But the business, going back to the business and the original thing, after the Southall riot that kicked off there, where the pub got burnt down, you know, and all the business came over to see us, and I knew Steve Whale, who used to play in the business. I'd known him for ages, and they said, you know, look, would you be interested in doing a thing on an Oi to stop all this bullshit going on? And we said, well, we'll think about it. And I think, you know, from that point on, they started using I Was a Living in the thing to try and get everyone together. To stop all this, you know, bullshit going on. And then later on, like 2 years ago or 3 years ago, 2007, I did that Feeding the 5,000 gig in London. And I had Steve Whale playing guitar.
Oh wow!
So, so,
amazing.
But he couldn't do it this time around. He's got family, personal things.
After The Bottom Fell Out with Schwarzenegger, you wrote about you being done with music. So I'm going to ask you why The Last Supper and why now?
Well, I sort of partly gave the reason that I didn't want Crass to be remembered for a bunch of, you know, people who were, I don't know, moaning about each other about just stupid stuff like records and things, and just being a typical everyday band. You know, Crass was bigger than that. You know, it inspired a lot of people to do a lot of things, and it certainly inspired me. You know,
many generations and internationally.
And I thought, no, I don't want it to be remembered like that. I want Crass. I want those songs to be remembered. You know, for something really positive, not negative. And I want it to be remembered for what those great songs, you know, what they were saying, and weren't we great, and didn't we have a good time, and weren't it hard? You know, all of you, you know, you've all had a rough time, but I know you've had a rough time over here. We had it bad in England as well, and it's like, now we can listen to those songs with maybe a little bit of pressure left off. Not only that, after I'd done the Feeding the 5,000 thing in London 2 years ago, I started getting these phone calls a week like, Steve, come and do it in Los Angeles, come and do it in Berlin, you know, and I said, no, I can't. And they said, why not? And I said, because the Feeding the 5,000 thing, it's meant to be a one-off, you know, it's got to be unique. That's it, I can't do it no more. Otherwise I'll be going back on my word. And I can't do that. So I thought about it, and I was like, you know, there is all over the world, there's all these people who never got a chance to see Crass perform live. And I thought, fuck it, why not? For one last time, and one time only, why don't I go to those countries and perform these great songs? Just one last time. And just to let everyone know that I'm not doing a Jimmy Percy, Johnny Rotten thing. The Last Supper, 10 years later, I'm still doing a tour. No, it's this whole tour is going to end in November on the 19th. Shepherd's Bush Empire, that's the last ever time I'm going to perform Crass songs live, and I am not going back on my word. The bastard thing is though, I know, soon, that day after that fucking gig, I'll get a phone call, Steve, it's Levi's here, would you like to come and do a concert for $20,000? No.
Why didn't you make like this tour 75 dates and like really do it up, do America right, do the whole thing? Get your paycheck, which you rightfully deserve.
Part of the reason that I don't. It's going to sound awful, but I don't like touring because I've got a dog and I really miss it. Well, I know it sounds stupid, but I've got a lump in my throat now.
I feel the same way.
Well, it's horrible because you know who's bringing us over in the car, right? I'm sitting in the back, English Bull Terrier, because that's what I've got. Yona goes, "Oh, it's an English Bull Terrier." Instant lump in my throat. I was like, anyway, not only that. I'm 53 years old. You can hear the gravel in my voice. You know, I've only done 2 shows. Got another one tonight. And doing, you know, the set's about an hour and a half long. And I don't know if any of you have stood up in front of the bathroom mirror and really sung Crass songs, you know, like at the top of your voice, but it really is hard to do. And I don't think I could do much more, you know. It's and because people say to me, Steve, you don't move a lot on stage. No, because if you're doing something like reality whitewash, you know, where there's that long bit, all you do is hold the mic and actually I'm giving away